Hey, you guys, Brittainy Noel here with the I Am Worthy podcast. You guys know me as a speaker, a therapist, an entrepreneur, a little bit of a whole bunch of things. But on today's podcast, I am simply your friend in the journey as we are all learning how to grow into better versions of ourselves. So welcome back to another episode. Our conversation for today, I really wanted to use an example from my own life to kind of demonstrate a point that I have made time and time again to my tribe. And the fact that I saw this cycle showing up in my life, I know that it's showing up for you guys too. So I want to have a quick chat with you guys and remind both you and me of a very important principle and concept. That we want to make sure that this behavior is corrected so that our relationships are thriving, that we are in a better place with ourselves and with other people. What I noticed over the last couple of months, I have had a lot of frustration with people. Okay, with people. And normally it was catching me off guard because normally I'm like, people don't really get to me, because I have a high tolerance for certain things and I understand people at a different level. So I'm like, why are these things that people keep doing annoying me or frustrating me? And I found myself being very agitated. And when I tell you this point hit me like a ton of bricks when I realized and I saw the cycle that was happening. This past weekend, you guys know I own an event space and we have events all the time. And we had a vendor here who was doing something in the venue that he wasn't supposed to be doing. And my employee approached him and said, hey, you can't do that. You need to. He was trying to use one of our TVs that was not a part of the package. So she told him to disconnect from it and, walked off. I had no idea that they had already had this conversation. And so when I walked into the venue and I saw what was going on, and I was like, yeah, he's not supposed to be doing that. So I approached the individual and I was like, hey, could you please disconnect? That's not a part of their package. And he gets an attitude, rolls his eyes at me, and he's like, don't nobody want to deal with your little TVs. And I was just like, I literally kept walking. I took 3 more steps. And literally his comment was disrespectful, number one. It annoyed the living daylights out of me because I'm like, how are you getting an attitude about my stuff? And in that moment, I took 3 steps and I stopped. And I circled back around and I approached him. And I said, sir, if you would like to be disrespectful, you can leave my venue. And I said it very cool, calm, and collected. But I made it very clear, if you want to be disrespectful, you're going to be asked to leave. I don't care who hired you to be here. And he, yes, ma'am, you're right, yes, ma'am. And for the rest of the night, it was yes, ma'am, and what do you need? No, ma'am. He stayed out the way. He made sure that he was polite and courteous to me and my staff the rest of the night. And literally the next day, it was like it hit me like a ton of bricks. And it said, Brittainy, the thought that I had said, Brittainy, you have gotten out of the habit of addressing disrespect in the moment. And this is why people have been annoying and frustrating because you have been letting them make it. Y'all, when I tell you I could have dropped dead because literally every conversation, especially in terms of business, I kept saying, just let them make it. Just let them make it. Every time someone did something that was out of pocket or they said something that was rude or they were being inconsiderate or a vendor didn't follow through, I just kept saying, let them make it. Let them make it. Let them make it. Why? Because one, it takes a lot of energy to always confront something, right? And I'm someone who has a lot going on any given day, so I don't have time to sit down with people that I'm not necessarily even worried about. So I kept saying, just let them make it, let them make it. And hear me clearly when I tell you, letting them make it caught up to me. That I was in this place where I was becoming frustrated, angry, and resentful towards people because they were crossing boundaries that I allowed them to cross. The point that I want to drive home to you guys today and myself is that being in harmony with yourself is going to require that you address disrespect on the spot. That when you constantly allow people to just make it in your life, when you know that they're out of pocket, when you know they've crossed the boundary, when you know that they have crossed the line, what it does is it sets a standard that disrespecting you is okay. It sets a standard that they can push boundaries and they can go further. They can take that mile because you gave them an inch. In order for you to be in harmony with yourself, to be cool with you, you're going to have to set a boundary with yourself that says, I'm going to have to hold people accountable for how they show up in my life, even if the trespass that they did was a minor one. You're going to have to get back into the habit of letting people know this is where you stop and I begin. This is appropriate and this is not appropriate. Y'all, when I tell you that when this point was brought home to me, it hit me because I realized in a lot of, especially my business relationships, since I opened the exception, there are a lot of people who I perceive to be taking advantage of what it was I built. And I had to hold myself accountable. And I was like, no, it wasn't that they took advantage. You didn't set the boundary as a hard boundary. And because you were giving them benefit of the doubt, and because you were letting things go, and because you didn't want to be perceived as difficult, you allowed them to get more than what it was that they invested. And this is what's making you angry. This is what's making you resentful. I want to challenge you guys to look at the different areas in your life where you've been letting people make it. Okay, they said that little remark at Thanksgiving and you didn't say anything. Your coworker said something to you that was, lightweight, shade, but you let them make it, because letting them make it is easier than sitting down and having the conversation, or doing what I did was simply listen. When I dropped that octave in my voice, I mean business, and I was very, very, very clear about my boundary. If you continue your disrespect, you will be asked to leave. And there are going to be people in your life that simple phrase, if you continue with the disrespect, you will be asked to exit my life. If you continue with the disrespect, you will be asked to put distance between you and me. If you continue with the disrespect, these are the consequences. That's the conversation that you need to have with yourself and with other people. So right now, not in 2023, okay? Right now, today, as you are watching this podcast, the season of letting them make it has ended. Ask someone, okay? Tell them I said it. Tell them I sent you. The season of letting them make it is over. Hold people accountable. When they disrespect you, address it in the moment. That's all I have for y'all tonight, okay? That's all I have. I'll leave your comments below. Like, comment, share this podcast with people that you feel can benefit, especially my people who are learning how to walk into their fullness, holding their heads high while setting boundaries, owning their voice. This is going to be a message that they need to hear. So let me know how you're going to be holding people accountable and what things you're no longer letting slide as you go into this next phase of your life. I'll talk to you guys soon. Until our next podcast.